Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me. Wherever you're joining me, rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, on Facebook, wherever, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate it. I saw that the NBA had come out with and saying that they were going to allow teams to sign more players who were stricken with a lot of missing players from COVID or from COVID protocols. And I applauded it. I thought that makes sense, right? If at the end of the day, the point is to play the games, why would you not still play the games? And I know a lot of people out there, there are a lot of people who have this thought process, oh, well, the game isn't as good or you're cheapening the game without the stars. But the truth is that the stars are only the stars because somebody told you they were the stars. The stars are only the stars because those are the guys that get promoted. Those are the guys who have the longevity. I mean, we're out here paying guys who are legitimately not stars like they're stars. We're paying players who are not stars like they're stars. But, ladies and gentlemen, in sports, never be like confused. All of the best players are not already in the league. See, this is my issue with football. Football made a rule that said, hey, if you can't field teams because of COVID, you're going to forfeit. No. Why didn't you just do what the NBA did? Hey, sign more players. These rosters that you guys have constructed in high school, in the NBA and in the NFL, they're only based off of the numbers that you came up with. There's no government law that says you can't have more active players on a roster for a football team. That's something that the NFL came up with. You know why? Because they don't want to pay people. That's why. It all comes back to money. If we have to have more active people on the roster, that means we have to pay more people the league minimum, which I believe is somewhere around $300,000. Same with the NBA. We have to pay those guys, and we have to pay the guys that are on the reserve, the COVID reserve list, and the people who are on the injured reserve list. Yes, you got it. You got it. But you know what I really don't want to see? I really don't want to see NFL games on a Tuesday. I really don't want to see NFL games on a Wednesday. People barely want to see NFL games on a Thursday. I don't want to see NBA games postponed or halted because they didn't have enough players, because the players were on the COVID list. I want them to just get more players. And don't tell me that there's not more players out there. There's a guy that's the 12th guy on the bench right now that will give buckets. There's a guy in the G League right now giving buckets. There's a guy overseas in Italy right now giving buckets. There's a guy trying to get back into the league who was in the league right now giving buckets. It's not like you're out there playing defense anyway, NBA. So it doesn't matter. Not real defense. It's not like the game isn't offensively skewed anyway. So you got all of these players that are in a G League that's supposed to be your developmental league, and you're afraid to bring them guys up. Man, baseball doesn't hesitate. If baseball's got a guy down there, that guy's killing, that guy's coming up. Even if he only comes up for like a few games, he's coming up. They're going to get his feet wet, send him back down. The NBA, they act like they're afraid to bring up G League players. Why? That's your affiliate. They understand your program. They know who you are. They should be able to theoretically come in and run your ish. So why wouldn't you bring them up? So I'm happy to see that the NBA is going to allow them, because I don't really particularly care who plays more than I care about the fact that there's a game. I want to say that again. I don't particularly care who plays more than I am on there's a game. Now, that is not to say that I am not pro player, but in this case, I'm not hurting any, my thought processes don't hurt any of the players. It actually helps more players get paid, which, if you have listened to me, is all I want to do. Hey, whatever those 15 guys or 13, 14 active guys that they have on the roster for an NBA team, they're going to get paid regardless if they go on the injured or COVID list. But saying, oh, we can't play the game because we don't have enough players. We can't play the game because we don't have enough players doesn't make any sense when you have an entire team down there that you can pull from. You have the players. You're just choosing not to use the players. And that's on you. If you choose not to use the players, then you can't be upset. If you choose not to use the players, you can't be upset that people are mad because you're not playing. So go ahead and play those players. Those other ballers, they can play. Those other ballers, they want a chance to show you just how good they are. Those other ballers have been chopping at the bit to get their chance to go out there and put a show on. Don't take it away from them because you don't want to spend a few more dollars. Don't make it about a few more dollars. If anything, you have to respect the fact that there is more talent out there than we will ever understand. In the NFL, these people will really lead you to believe, they'll really lead you to believe that there is not talent all over the place. They'll lead you to believe that there is not talent at the quarterback position beyond the starter. Man, you get a start. If you get a franchise quarterback, man, we throw that term around so loosely. You've got your franchise quarterback. There's only like a handful of franchise quarterbacks. The rest of the guys are guys who can start. And then there's another ring of guys who probably are just as good but haven't had an opportunity yet. That's what we have in the NFL. You have a few franchise guys and then some other dudes who could start. You know how I know? Because I see it all the time. You people told me Zach Wilson was good. You people told me Daniel Jones was good. You people told me Sam Darnold was good. You're trying to tell me Mac Jones is good. You're trying to tell me that Baker Mayfield was great. And yet we continually see teams without those players have similar success. The Jets were terrible with Darnold and a different coaching staff. They're terrible with Zach Wilson and a different coaching staff. Darnold was terrible with the Jets. He was terrible with the Panthers. Baker Mayfield has been inconsistent his entire career. College, not inconsistent. College, consistent. Why? Wide receivers running buck ass naked all over the place. NFL, nobody's running buck naked unless somebody fell down. The only people who are scheming dudes wide open or lanes wide open seems to be Kyle Shanahan. Everybody else, you got to be able to deliver balls with a guy who has a man on him that's stuck like glue. Every time he's out, a guy comes in to replace him that plays just as well. Who, when you look at the stats at the end of the game, you go, okay, well, he just did what Baker did. Tyler Huntley, you guys told me, well, he wasn't good enough to be drafted. Clearly, all of the evaluators saw what we saw. Clearly, all the evaluators were wrong. Because look at the guys that they took ahead of Tyler Huntley. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't rocket scientists. Those ballers there, they can play. Let them play. We shouldn't be pushing games back because teams are dealing with heavy amounts of COVID issues. Pay those players that put their themselves in jeopardy by playing the game for you and then either being exposed to or contracting COVID. Pay those guys. Then bring some more in and pay those guys too, and let's play some football. Because it's not fair to the teams who had to play with a bunch of with some critical COVID situations and their games were not pushed back. So then all of a sudden see this week where we've got an NFL game every other day. Yeah, I'm going to watch because I'm a football guy. I enjoy football, but I don't really want to see the NFL on a Tuesday. I don't really want to see the NFL on a Wednesday. I want to focus in on college basketball and the NBA and maybe some soccer matches. I want to watch the Lightning. Now we're not going to watch any hockey because they're shutting down or closing down again. So it's always something. But those ballers, those hoopers, those footballers, they got a lot of them. So you can play them. You don't have to keep on holding it back because you want to put the other guys back on the field. Carry larger rosters, pay more people, have more depth, do more coaching and developing instead of always looking for ready-made products. That's the problem with the Giants right now. You want these guys to come in and already be stars. You don't want to develop. Everybody wants to say the offensive line is bad. The offensive line is bad. The offensive line is bad. No, the offensive line has played bad. They've played poorly, but they've also played well. If you're going to point out the times when they suck, you got to point out the times when they play well. The running game is averaging almost 5 yards a carry over the last 2-3 games. Nobody's gonna talk about that though, huh? They just suck. The offensive line just sucks. How about this? You got a bunch of guys out there who are inexperienced, who have not played well, who have not played together. And an offensive line is built on cohesiveness of a unit. So you need your offensive line coach to do his damn job. You need your offensive coordinator to consider that when calling plays. And when somebody goes down, you got to have somebody else to replace them. Not just arbitrarily because you had to find something cheap. You need to have somebody who's legitimately good replacing him because that guy exists. He's waiting on a phone call. Filling these practice rosters with a bunch of guys that don't actually help out your team makes no sense. You know what you need. You know where your troubled areas are. You should have them in spades. There's no reason to limit. Just pay the money. It's the same with that dumb salary cap. Just pay the money. You got it. You got it. And those guys can play. Those guys are ballers. Stop wasting our time. Stop wasting your time. If the show really must go on, break bread and make sure that the show can go on the way it's supposed to. Not this ragtag, 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow. We've got NFL football 10 out of the next 14 days. That ain't sexy. I don't know why you started trying to put NFL games on Saturdays anyway. Greedy mofos. Keep the main thing the main thing. Pay these players, expand these rosters, make sure that you have enough people to play, and then go play the games and let the chips fall where they may. And if at the end of the season they say, oh, well, you know, if it wasn't for COVID, they would have, guess what? How is that any different than if it wasn't for the injury? The Buccaneers are going to have to be without, in my opinion, their best receiver for the rest of the year. Hines Ward 2.0, Chris Godwin. That hurts more than Mike Evans getting hurt. That hurts more than AB getting suspended. They don't do what he does. And they don't have another guy on the roster that can do what he does. But there's somebody out there. If they go look for him, there's somebody out there who could do that job. And they better find him. Because Scotty Miller is not doing what that guy does. Darden's not doing what that guy does. That's why we need to have more people on these rosters. That's why we need to have more people on the practice squads. That's why you NFL teams, owners, got to break that bread. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook, wherever, like, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.